Hi, my name is Brandon, and I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. Today, I want to read a little bit about thinking yourself into right living versus living yourself into right thinking. This is from a new pair of glasses by Chuck C. I'm going to read what he says about this and then read an example from him that really highlights the importance of living and behaving in the right way, even if your thinking still feels a little off. He says to this group that he's addressing, "I love you, period. Why? In the beginning, because you were drunks and because you rocked me to sleep and you gave me the program of Alcoholics Anonymous and helped me do it. So I had to love you. Before I got here, I hated you more than any part of the whole human race. Before that thing happened to me, I thought the entire human race was a cosmic mistake. God's kids were too damn mean and too stupid to merit my attention. I was interested in God. I learned a lot about him, and the more I learned, the drunker I got. Now that wasn't because I knew more, but because I didn't know anything. I knew so much I didn't have to do. I told you guys what to do. But I didn't have to do those things because I already knew them, So it took me pretty nearly 70 years to learn that you can live yourself into right thinking, but you cannot think yourself into right living. All you've got to do is do these things and something happens. Don't do them and nothing happens, regardless of how much you know about the program of Alcoholics Anonymous." This is one of the most important lessons that I learned early in my recovery, was that I needed to focus more on my behaviors and less on what was happening in my head. What was happening in my head had gotten me into a lot of trouble in the past, and following what was going on in here had gotten me into a lot of trouble. But doing what people told me to do in Alcoholics Anonymous, doing what people told me to do in the therapy that I was attending, listening to what my new friends were telling me that they were doing, and doing that, those kinds of actions are what brought me into a place where what happened up here started to change. So by leading with action, my head and my heart started to change a little bit. And that's a really important concept for us, because we are used to, as people with addiction problems, as people with alcoholism, we're used to trying to think ourselves out of situations, trying to think ourselves into better places, and trying to justify everything that we do and everything that we feel with this up here, instead of worrying more about our actions and how we behave in the world around us. So I'm going to read an example that he gives here that's a good illustration of this. We had a guy here when I first got here, and we called him the coach. His name was Paul C. Some of you guys were here long enough ago to know him. Paul had two vocabularies. He had an under-the-bridge vocabulary, and I thought I had a pretty good one, but he could lose me. And he had a Notre Dame vocabulary, and he knew the AA book practically by heart. He could stand up here and almost quote chapter 3 in its entirety and chapter 5 in its entirety without cracking the book. And we had to watch Paul die. We had to watch him die. He came to me at our meeting in Beverly Hills just a short time before he left us, and he fell on my neck and cried like a baby and said, "Chuck, look at you and look at me. Just think, I was going to throw you out of my house when you first came to see me." And he had to die because he forgot to do these things. He knew them, but he didn't do them. We can live ourselves into right thinking, but we can't think ourselves into right living. So I feel like that's an important part of anything that we do, and what we gain through a program of spiritual growth is the ability to intuit what the right thing is to do. And then it's up to us to do that thing no matter what's going on up in here. So I know the right thing to do. I've got to do it even if I've got a lot of things happening in my head that pull me in another direction or make me want to do something differently. So really important concept. I thought he put it really well in this book and wanted to share that today. In the meantime, hope you all have a great day, and I'll be back here tomorrow with more.